Well, I thought it was a game that we expected, a dogfight, both because it's a rivalry game. I think kind of looking at where our two programs are, both teams look at this as a winnable game and bring really good energy because of that, and because they're well coached and all those things. And I think coming off of our game against Lowell, it was a little bit of an expectation of a hangover, from things going so smoothly. But I thought we executed rather well today, and we had 9 turnovers for the entire game, and got the shots we wanted. I just think we overcame a poor shooting day, where almost every shot we took was a pretty good shot. There were some times when we maybe could have been a little bit more patient, got it back inside, maybe something like that. But we overcame that, and I thought we did it with a few transition buckets. We had 10 fast break points to their 0. I thought that was really kind of the deciding factor in the game. That's what allowed us to overcome their three-point shooting. And I'm sure that from an overall percentage, Coach Aaron doesn't feel like they shot very well, but I thought they shot threes extremely well, and that's what I thought was the kind of what they were hanging their hats on. We a few times we gave them some threes that we didn't intend to, but for the most part we were trying to be disruptive and rotate, and they made some deep shots, and a big credit to them, but we were somehow able to overcome that.
Before I talk to the guys, just wanted to ask you about some key defensive plays late in the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think Isaiah had a couple of block shots and a steal, and then the 10-second call coming out of, I think, your free throw after a timeout 3-point play.
Right.
You kept them from getting closer. I mean, they had got to
Well,
a one-possession game once there.
I think it goes back even a little bit sooner, and I'll give Vincent Easy a lot of credit. So didn't play him a lot. He's a little nicked up, and didn't play him a lot there in the first half. And Andrew was struggling finishing his shots, and so we put Vince in, and he scores back-to-back baskets and gets us back to a lead.
Yeah.
So I thought that's kind of when the momentum shifted was on Vince, and then even when we got it to 6 and they'd hit a 3 or whatever, we just seemed to maintain it enough, right? And then, like I said, there was the transition opportunity when Teron stole the ball or got the rebound or whatever it was, and kicked it, pushed it full court, hit Vilgot cutting, and he got his hand one. It just felt like, wow, we're doing great. I thought also, we were getting shots around the basket. We were trying to score in the paint. We had outscored them 32-8 in the paint.
Yeah.
And obviously Andrew can be a monster down there, but it wasn't his day, and so we switched up and we started getting Sergio down there, and we started getting Vince down there, and I think that was when we that's where our scoring came from.
Yeah.
And so just for me personally, it's one of the more satisfying games that we've had this year. Not the best game that we've played, certainly not the best that we've shot, but that we overcame a little bit of adversity. We overcame some situations where in other games this year we would have let that affect the way we felt about ourselves defensively. We wouldn't have made those plays. So I thought that was a step forward for us today.
In a first half that was low scoring, and I'm not sure if it was offensive struggles or good defense, however you want to credit. How important was it for Vilgot to get off to the start that he got?
It was great. It was great. And, I'm sure that our fans probably agree with me on this. Today it was, 23 and 18 from these two, and it was 38 from Andrew the day before, and Teron's had big games, and Isaiah's had big games. What I look forward to is when we got 5 guys who are averaging double figures, and they pretty much are within 2 or 3 points each time, when there's some consistency in terms of our performance. But I think, what it shows is that we've got guys who can play, and I think as they play together and as teams figure out, well, you can't really leave him open or you can't not play him, that it'll kind of smooth out. But yeah, Vilgot today, the first half, 17 points. I thought his dunk in transition, again, that was big play. It was a nice pass from Sergio on that one. That was one of Sergio's assists.
Yeah, Vilgo, just talk a little bit about the start that you got and how that set you up for the rest of the game.
So I mean, the team, the coaching staff, they've been doing a good job setting me up the whole season, and I just I mean, I was preparing like any other day, going to work, and we were like I started off making a couple of shots. I was feeling it. Also, Andrew collapses the defense a lot, especially after his last game. So I felt like I would have a little more space than usual, and I just tried to stay ready and knock down the shots that I was free to take.
I think the first three came within like a 2-minute span there, so
Yeah.
you were obviously happy to get the ball back after
Yeah.
the first one, I guess. It just, Sergio, in the second half, obviously, Andrew was, having his struggles. Basketball's a humbling sport sometimes, and then you get the call to kind of take it to the low post. You're comfortable doing that, obviously. Can you just talk about that change in your game as opposed to, most of the time spent facing the basket? This time you were a little bit more with your back.
I mean, coach put me under the basket, and he told me like, you have space to do whatever you want. So I try to do whatever I can to help the team keep scoring, and I just made the shots.
Yeah, you had a little bit of a size advantage there too, for the most part, I think. So
I think so too.
take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Ryan was coming up with all kinds of stats today about the last time you made and won a couple of A games in a row and a couple of conference games in a row. And I'm just wondering, you guys obviously weren't here for the last time that happened. It was a couple of years ago, so it's been, obviously it's been a bit of a struggle. Just how does it feel to put this win on top of the win you had against Lowell last?
It feels good, but I believe that we should have had the same back-to-back win games against Stony Brook and Hartford. But the difference between today and the other time that we kept going today and we had defensive stops. Against Stony Brook and Hartford, we let the lead go and we couldn't recover back. So I don't see a difference, but I'm glad we got the back-to-back wins, and hopefully we can go to Vermont and play well.
Make it 3 in a row.
Yep.
Just in terms of you, Vilga, to be honest, I hadn't seen you score a ton of points at home until the last couple of days out. I'm just wondering, it's not a reflection of home or away or anything like that, but do you feel yourself kind of, getting back into a groove like you had earlier in the season? I know you scored 15 down in North Texas.
Yeah, I've been kind of struggling to be at home this season. I don't know the reason behind it, but I mean, I just go out there and play, and today was a good day for me, and I'm happy with the performance. But we gotta keep working and keep this mentality and movement that we have got going in the team, and keep improving. So that this isn't something out of the ordinary.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
But it is good to see the results of your labors.
It is good to see you playing good.
Huh?
Yeah.
It's good seeing you playing good.
I get good passes.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach, I just want to ask you one more thing, and it's a little bit about Andrew. And I didn't see the game last week against Lowell, but can you talk a little bit about what he did in that particular game? And
Well, I think that's a team accomplishment too. There were a lot of great plays. He did, made some shots that weren't necessarily gimmies, but there was a lot of execution where, whether it was high-lows or our dribble-up action where we got him on back cuts for dunks. The quality of shots that he got, was really good. And I think that's the story, is that our execution was at such a high level that game as a team. So it takes everybody. Everybody's got to be in the right spots. We've got to be moving together. Someone's got to make the pass. What he was getting to do was just basically lay it in or dunk it at the end of those plays, and that means he was doing his job as well. But I feel like that was kind of a team accomplishment. I think he'd tell you the same thing, and it was great that we got some attention for it. I think this team deserves some positive attention. I think like I said, we've been awfully close, and we talked about going into that game that there were at least a dozen games that we feel like we could have won. That just games that were right there, and you take, whether it's a couple of possessions or a made free throw. We've had overtime losses, double overtime losses. We've had, obviously most recently Hartford and Stony Brook, UMBC, Binghamton, where we had substantial leads in the second half. We need to take that next step and finish games out. And I think when you go back and you look at our season, it's not unexpected that we are where we are. But I think it is quite appropriate for us to be able to say, but we know we could do better, right? That's the drive, that's the spur in the saddle that, you know, motivates you. And so for our whole team, I think that game was one where we weren't going to, you know, they made a little run there to start the second half. They cut it to 5, maybe even to 3. And we responded by buckling down and doing what was working and sticking with our offense. And Andrew was just the person who was in the right place at the right time.
Well, you guys have, you know, the assist to field goal ratio has been pretty good all year. It was good today, 16 on 23 field goals.
Right.
And I'm assuming that was the case for him to get as open as he did under the basket without getting fouled. I don't know.
No.
That's what surprised me about that, was he got.
Yeah, I know,
some shots and didn't
and
get
I'm sure
fouled.
that they'd probably look back and wish they'd fouled him more. But
Yeah.
you know, you're right. I mean, when we execute at a high level, and this was true on the women's side too, right? When we execute our plays, we execute at a high level. We're a high assist team. We hit high percentage shots, and that allows us to set up a pretty disruptive and a little bit unorthodox defense. We don't play like everybody else plays, and that should be our advantage. You know, even to be honest with you, some of our focal point on attacking the basket, so many teams, their post only run pick and pop and pick and roll, and so it's different for them just to learn how to play post defense. I don't think they're accustomed to defending the post the way we play it.
Yeah.
And so we want to be a little bit contrarian here. We don't feel like we can just do what everybody else does but do it better. We feel like other teams have certain advantages. What we have to do is be unique and run a system and have a style of play that allows us to be different, so that it's not just like, you know, when you go play Maine, it's not like you just played Stony Brook. You know, it's not like you just played Vermont. It's going to be a different team that plays a different style.
Very good.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.